Rick James is from Buffalo, New York, okay? At the tender age of 17, he joins the armed services during the Vietnam conflict, okay? He goes into the Navy. So he joins the Navy, Rick James in the Navy. And Rick James did not like the Navy. That shit was rough. And he's like, I'm out. And he went to Canada, eh? So he goes to Canada. He leaves the Navy, right? When he's in Canada, he makes friends with a guy named Neil Young, who's not a rock star yet. He's just some guy playing guitar in Canada. And they make a band. And that band got signed to Motown Records. For real. Rick James, at like 19 years old, with Neil Young, who's not a rock star yet, gets signed to Motown Records. They get a record deal. They fire their manager. So the manager's like, well, if you're going to fire me, I'm going to turn you in, Rick James. And he calls, and he's AWOL, because he's in the U.S. now. He went back. He's in Motown, Motor City, right? So he gets his record deal, and he gets turned in by the cops, and not the cops, the MPs, and he goes to prison. So then the band's over. They get dropped out of the thing. Neil Young goes to California. For the couple of years that Rick's in the brig for the Navy, Neil Young becomes a huge famous rock star. Like huge, like rock star. So he gets out, he's like, I'm going to go to California and find my boy Neil Young because he's a rock star. And he became kind of the drug dealer to all the rock stars in California. Are you following my thread so far?
I'm following.
And I said in the beginning, you remember the Manson family?
Yes.
You've heard of them. Okay. Rick James was asleep with his girlfriend in wherever he was staying. And he was like partied a lot the night before. Like he was beat up and he was hungover. And his boy knocks on the door. Rick, I'm going to this party, man, with like these really cool like Hollywood starlets up in the hills, bro. And they need smoke and cocaine. My boy Rick James, you gotta go. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'd love to go party with you and your Hollywood friends. I am hungover and I feel like shit. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go. And his boy's like, you sure, Rick James? He's like, yes. So he goes. That was the house they chopped up the people and took the woman baby out of her body.
Oh my God.
That night. So Rick James, the next morning, he's smoking a joint. He's waking up. He turns on the TV and he's like, that's Randy. They killed Randy. Like, that's his boy. Went to the party and got killed. Here's the difference. And I'm going to run this by you. As a woman of color, Rick James not only was in the service, he's from the streets of Buffalo, New York. Mm-hmm. He was almost 6 feet tall. And he was kind of mean, and he was a professional drug dealer at the time. Mm-hmm. Tell me if Rick James is in that party and a bunch of teenagers with knives showed up to kill people, that he's not killing all of them.
Yeah, I think he would definitely.
A giant, coked up, angry black man from the service. Now, here's the irony. He'd have been like a huge star. There's like, you saved Sharon Tate from getting murdered. Oh my God, Rick James, you're the man. And he just didn't go. Or he says, he's like, I could have been murdered.
Right. Most people would have thought about that.
Rick James wasn't getting murdered. In the same book I read this story in, he had a huge cocaine deal. And he's like, there were two of them, and they had a gun. And he's like, I went back to my car, and I got a machete. It's like this big. And he walked up, he was like, give my fucking money. And he's like, I got my money. They could have shot him, but they were afraid of him holding the machete. Exactly. So if you're like the Manson family people, black men with dreadlocks, I don't know, man. I think I'm going to be like, did we pick the wrong house? Rick James is here. I'm going to just leave, you know?